And one thing I've always found a bit frustrating when writing for a journal I haven't written with before is the formatting of the front matter. And you say, well, I've got this manuscript, I want to use the journal macros and send it off. But then you have to have some example and figure out how it's done. And as far as I know, there's been no standardization here at all. I mean, standard LaTeX gives you the title, author, date, but a typical journal will have, more than one author, and there'll be, in general, a many-to-many mapping between authors and institutes. And there's lots of ways, with footnotes or, collect them into groups or whatever, and then the authors can have footnotes for email addresses and off-prints and so on. And it seems that every journal has hacked something together which produces the visual output they want, but it's usually not structured at all. I mean, Arthur Ogawa's stuff for RevTech is an example where that's done reasonably well, but it's not standard by any means. And I think it would be nice to have some sort of standard front matter environment where you could just say, well, okay, here are the authors, here are the institutes, and it's up to the class file how that's formatted, of course. There must be a huge fraction of LaTeX used for writing journal papers, so I'm a bit surprised that everyone still rolls their own in this area. And it's for someone doing it for the first time, you waste a lot of time getting it right when it's actually something which should be trivial.
Yeah, the problem with front matter is a long-standing one, and it resides in the fact that each journal publisher wants to do its own thing, and they're not really interested at all in cooperating with competitors.
Right.
So and that's, I think, one of the reasons why Leslie, in his original design of the article style for LaTeX, only offered the author title and date markup and didn't deal with addresses and affiliations and grant support and all of the other things that go into some journals' front matter markup. And so everyone's done it a different way. And I don't see any way to push commercial publishers to adopt a standard format. I mean, what each of them want to do is to take over the world and be the sole supplier, so they have a lock on the market. That's how capitalism works. It just seems to be an insoluble problem that we have to live with. But fortunately, the amount of changes in a typical article to deal with differences in front matter is pretty small relative to the size of the article. And probably most articles aren't submitted to more than one or two or three journals rather before they're published.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I mean, if you spend more time fiddling with the front matter than writing the article, then there's something wrong. But it's a sort of a typical problem, which I think it gives the impression to a new user that something trivial hasn't been thought about. I mean, of course, every journal could still, format it however they want to, but you could have sort of standard commands like institute, address, off prints, whatever. But even those don't seem to be standardized.